Deep in the heart of an ancient African village, a young fisherman named Jomo discovered something that would change his life forever. One morning, as he cast his net into the river, something shiny caught his eye beneath the water. He reached down and pulled out a glowing golden cowrie shell. It shimmered under the sun, unlike any shell he had ever seen. Jomo's heart pounded with excitement. He had heard of cowrie shells being used as money, but never one made of pure gold. "With this, I will be the richest man in the village," he whispered, slipping it into his pocket. As he walked home, the villagers noticed a strange glow around him. An old woman, Mama Kwale, gasped when she saw the shell. "Jomo, where did you find that?" she asked, her voice trembling. "In the river, Mama Kwale. Isn't it beautiful?" Jomo replied. Mama Kwale's face darkened. "That is the cursed cowrie of the river spirits. It brings great wealth, but also great misfortune. You must return it at once." Jomo laughed. "A curse? Nonsense. This shell will bring me everything I've ever wanted." That night, as Jomo slept, he dreamt of a shadowy figure standing by his bed. The figure whispered, "Wealth has a price, Jomo. Are you ready to pay?" He woke up in a cold sweat, clutching the cowrie tightly. The next morning, Jomo found a bag of gold beside his bed. Overjoyed, he used the gold to build the biggest house in the village. He bought the finest clothes and held feasts every night. But the more he spent, the more gold appeared. Soon, greed consumed him. He stopped fishing, stopped helping others, and refused to share his wealth. The villagers began to fear him. Even his best friend, Tund, warned him, "Jomo, you have changed. This wealth is not natural." Then, strange things started happening. Jomo's food rotted before he could eat it. His new house cracked and crumbled. At night, he heard whispers in the wind. And worst of all, his reflection in the river showed a hollow-eyed man, nothing like himself. Desperate, he ran to Mama Kwale. "Please, help me. The cowrie has cursed me." She sighed. "I warned you, child. The only way to break the curse is to return the cowrie to the river and give away all your riches." Jomo hesitated. Could he really give up everything? But then, he saw his own hands. They were aging rapidly, his skin wrinkling like an old man's. The curse was draining his life. Without another thought, he ran to the river and threw the golden cowrie back into the water. The moment it sank, the whispers stopped. The air became lighter. Jomo felt his strength returning. He returned to the village and gave away all his gold. He helped rebuild homes, fed the hungry, and took up fishing again. The villagers forgave him, and peace returned. One night, as Jomo sat by the river, he heard a gentle voice in the wind. "You have learned, Jomo. True wealth is not in gold, but in kindness." From that day on, Jomo lived humbly, knowing that greed had almost destroyed him. And the river? It never gave up its golden secret again. Jomo had learned his lesson, but the past still haunted him. Though he had returned the golden cowrie, he often found himself staring at the river, wondering if the spirits were truly satisfied. Had he done enough to lift the curse? One evening, as he sat by the water, a strong wind blew through the village. The river churned wildly, and the sky darkened as if a storm was approaching. The villagers ran for shelter, but Jomo remained, feeling an unseen presence around him. Then, from the depths of the river, a voice echoed, deep and ancient. "Jomo, you have returned what was stolen, but one task remains." Jomo's heart pounded. "What must I do?" he asked, bowing his head in respect. "The golden cowrie was not meant for human hands," the voice said. "But long ago, a man like you took it. His greed doomed his descendants, and the curse still lingers in your village." Jomo's eyes widened. "You mean, this curse was never just mine?" A vision appeared before him, flashes of past generations who had suffered from misfortune, sickness, and famine. All because of the golden cowrie. "What can I do to end this suffering?" Jomo asked. "Seek the one who still carries greed in his heart. Until he changes, the village will never know true peace. As the vision faded, Jomo knew what he had to do. He thought of Chief Kofi, the village leader. Kofi was a wealthy man, obsessed with gold and power. He demanded high taxes from the villagers, hoarded food, and lived in luxury while others suffered. Jomo rushed to the chief's palace. "Chief Kofi, I must speak with you. It is urgent." The chief scoffed. "What could a simple fisherman have to say to me?" Jomo told him everything, the curse, the spirits, and the suffering of the village. But the chief only laughed. "A foolish tale. Wealth is a blessing, not a curse." That night, the village trembled. The ground shook, and the river overflowed, swallowing fields and homes. A powerful wind howled, tearing roofs from huts. The villagers cried out in terror. Then, the river's voice spoke again, but this time, it was heard by all. "The greed of one dooms many. Until the last chain is broken, the curse shall remain." The villagers turned to Chief Kofi. "You must listen," they pleaded. "Your greed is destroying us." For the first time, fear flickered in the chief's eyes. He saw the devastation around him, the people he ruled over suffering because of his selfishness. Falling to his knees, he cried out, "What must I do?" Jomo stepped forward. "Let go of your greed. Share your wealth. Lead with kindness, not power." The chief hesitated, but as he looked around, he knew he had no choice. The next morning, he gathered his gold and distributed it among the villagers. He opened his granaries and fed the hungry. He vowed to rule with wisdom and fairness. As the first rays of sunlight touched the village, the river calmed. The air became lighter. The curse was lifted. Jomo smiled, knowing his mission was complete. The spirits had given him a second chance, and now, his village could finally be free. From that day on, the village thrived. Chief Kofi became a just leader, and Jomo was honored as the man who broke the curse. And the golden cowrie? It remained hidden beneath the river's depths, never to be seen again.